Om Vang me manasi pratisthita mano me vachi pratishthitam aviravirma edhi vedasyama anistha shrutam me ma prahasihi anena dhitena horatran samdadhami Ritam vadishyami, satyam vadishyami, tanmam avatu, tadvaktaram avatu, avatu mam, avatu vaktaram, avatu vaktaram. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. This is the last hymn of the Rig Veda in the 10th mandala. It's conclusive of the whole Rig Veda. It's Samvanana Atreya, and the Rishi belongs to Atri family. And Samvanana is an interesting word. Vanana, it's from root van, to win, to partake, and to enjoy. Yeah? To have delight. Samvanana is like having delight together, the total delight. So how this total delight will manifest, he gives this message. Only 4 shlokas, actually, very short hymn, but very potent and very powerful. So he starts with some id yuvase vrishan nagne vishvanyarya ilaspade samidhyase sanova suni abhara. He starts with Agni. And these 2 words, some, his name is Samvanana also, Samvanana. Sam means together, yeah? Double together, kind of emphasizing together. Indeed, id, together, indeed, yuvase, you unite, O Vrishan, O Lord, O Agni, Vishvani, all the threads, all the reaches, yeah, all you unite together, Arya, for the one who aspires towards it, for Arya, for the one who, here the translation, the second translation is from Griffith, just to compare, for it's my interpretation. Sri Aurobindo didn't translate this hymn. So, thou, mighty Agni, gatherest up all that is precious for thy friend. So thy friend is actually that Aryan, noble one, who seeks the divine manifestation, who aspires. And that's why he is a friend of Agni. Yeah? Ilaspade samidhyase sanovasuni abhara. Bring us all treasures. Abhara. Vasuni. All the Vishvani Vasuni Abhara. As thou art enkindled in libation's place. Libation's place is just ilaspade, in the place of ila. Sri Aurobindo translate ilaspade, usually ilaspadam, as the place of the truth. You are totally kindled in the place of the truth, ilaspade samidhyase. Bring to us our luminous treasures. Interestingly, that our luminous treasures, yeah? No, samnach vasuni, because these are our treasures, only we kind of don't have them for some reason. Somehow we are separated from our own treasures.
Because of the panis?
because of the panis, because of the involvement, manifestation of everything we do here, because of the sacrifice we have to do. We have to take onto ourselves all that darkness and turn it into light. So, but the treasures are within the darkness. So we have to be able to change the darkness and discover the treasures within our unconscious being. And then there is a unique message. Sam gajjatvam, sam vadadvam, sam vomanansi janatam. Deva bhagam yatha purve sanjanana upasate. Now notice how many times sam. This is the hymn of unity. Sam gajjatvam. Come together or go together, meet together. Samvadadvam, speak together. Samvomanansi janatam, may your minds be together. Deva bhagam yatha purve, as the purve deva, as the first gods, upasate, set at sanjanana, agreeing together at the portion, literally, as the ancient gods anonymous sit down to their appointed share. So what is this appointed share, bhaga? It is the portion of delight which the gods are to fulfill in this manifestation, which they can partake of to fulfill the purpose of manifestation. From here, these words, bhagya as destiny, and so on. So my interpretation, go together, speak together, realize your thoughts together, as the first gods assumed their share in the creation, sat fully agreeing with each other together. So all the gods, though they had to fulfill different purpose, different mission, they all agreed to do it. It's like in the orchestra. You cannot play somebody else, line or something. You have, or in the theater, you have to play your note. Only one note, it seems, in the whole symphony, but you have to play it in time when it is needed and not in some other time and some other note. So to agree to work together as one being is a big kind of task. But notice these three: go together, speak together, and think together. This is something very fundamental for the integral paradigm. I studied thoroughly Gebser's views, and I was mentioning already. So in the Gebser's structures of consciousness, he says that magic structure is always kind of going together but not speaking, moving but not communicating through speech, through myth. Speech came later. If you look at the caves where the first pictures are drawn by the faces, or the first, what do you call them? First figures from clay are made of the people, of their magic structure. You will find that they all have eyes, but they don't have mouths. Mouths are absent. So they have nose, eyes, but no mouth. And he gives these examples, many, many examples in his book, showing that actually in the magic structure, you don't speak. You agree differently by going together, working together, acting. There is some kind of unity, a one-dimensional unity, which is being realized in this structure of consciousness. Aboriginal cultures have it still. They don't discuss things. They don't agree by wording. They don't argue. There is no argument in words at all, absent in the culture. Amazing. There was someone from Senegal in Auroville. He was in this in the advisory council, and he was in UN, and he was telling that when he comes to Senegal, to his village in Africa, and that is magic structure still, all the elders and all the villagers, they come together, they sit around the tree. If they want to solve some problem, for example, they have a problem to solve, something to build, yeah? They sit around the tree silently, no discussion, no word for several hours, and then they get up and go and do things. This is the agreement. Agreement is reached. No talking. Amazing. When he said this, I understood that is the magic structure. No talking. Yeah, talking is useless, and arguing, showing off, individual, knowledge, all this, it's absolutely irrelevant for the magic oneness of nature. So come together is a magic structure. Speak together is a mythical structure according to Gapsa. Speaking is the myth. We suddenly remembered that our origin is not the earth, not the nature. We come from somewhere else, from heaven, from the sun. Our origin is the sun, and we have to return to the sun. The prodigal son returns. Yes, we deviated from our origin. We left our home, and we have to come back. All the religions are built on this. Advaita is built on this. It's not our home. All the monasteries, please don't engage yourself in life. Life is a trap. You have to return. You have to remember where you belong. Yeah, it's not you. You are elsewhere. You are the soul, and this is all a trap. And so you have to get rid of mukti, idea of mukti, liberation. You have to liberate yourself from nature, separate yourself from nature, and get out from this. Yeah? So this is this word, myth. Myth as the means to express the origin. Yeah? And interestingly, in this hymn at the end, we will see that this word is related to the heart. And this is an amazing discovery because Gapser speaks about this, that the word and the heart are related in this way. The word is rising from the heart, not from the brain. Yeah? It's not the word of the brain. It's the word as an intention, as Brihaspati in the Rig Veda is the word of the heart. The mantra, Brahman is the mantra rising from the depth of the heart, which unites heaven and earth. And then heaven, Manansi. Yeah? So we have three manas as the mind, thought, mental structure of consciousness according to Gapsa, where we are becoming aware of ourselves as objective beings. Now here we are one with nature. Here, when we speak, we are different from nature. We are the souls. Our origins is elsewhere. And here some manansi, some vomanansi janatam, our thoughts, our mental vision of ourselves as objective beings, separate from others, unique, egoistic, natural creation. And all of these three have to be united into oneness. And that real integral oneness. And according to Gapsa, unification of magic, mythical, and mental structure creates an integral structure where these three become efficient. So oneness of nature, oneness with the source of the spirit, and separate character, objectively existing being, have to come together. Can you imagine how complex and beautiful it is? Yeah? And each structure has to be worked out separately and at the end agree to work with others. So our separate objective being has to agree with oneness of nature and with our source, spiritual source at the same time. Amazing, huh? And then, samano mantrach samitich samani, samanam manach saha chitta mesham. You see, samana is everywhere. Samanam mantram iti abhimantrayevach samanayana voha vishajuhomi. Samanach mantrach, common mantra, samana, again, together, one mantra. Yeah? Uniting is their word. Samitich, samani. Notice how repetition of some rishi insists. Uniting is their gathering. Samanam manach sahachitta mesham. Uniting is their mind of these gods who have one consciousness. Samanam mantram abhimantrayevach. And this uniting word I speak to you. It is with this uniting word, samanena vohavisha juhomi, with this uniting offering of yours, that I offer. So again, this even more profound unity in the mantra, again word, again mind, again coming together, samitich, the samitich, iti from root e, to come together, yes, the assembly. So common is the assembly, common is the mantra, common is the mind of those who have one consciousness. And so that one consciousness is to be realized. Supramental consciousness, which allows the multitude creation and differences, yeah, diversity, unity in diversity. And this one word, one mantra, I proclaim today for you, and with this one offering of yours, I offer. And the last word, samani va akutich, samana hridayani vaha, samanamastuvo mano yatha vaksu sahasati. These are the last words of the Rig Veda. One and the same be your resolve. This is how Griffith translates. And be your minds of one accord. United be the thoughts of all, that all may happily agree. Now, I have a little bit different interpretation, similar meaning. May your will in the body be uniting. Akutich is that which has the willpower in the body, in the physical body. May your aspirations in the hearts be uniting. Samanani hridayani vaha. May your hearts be common, one. Yeah? This is, instead of the word, now the hearts are coming. And may your minds be uniting. Samana mastuvo mano. May your mind be common for all of you. Yatha vachsu sahasati. As in your common well-being together. It's a very interesting word at the end, a very unusual word, used only here. Su saha asati. It's in your perfect being together, as in your perfect being together. So this world is seen with all the varieties of beings as one creation. And we have to find a way to be one. But not losing the diversity, not losing our own truths. They all have to find their place in this bigger vision. So this is the hymn, so profound, so beautiful. There is nothing coming close in the literature, spiritual literature, to this, uniting all the hymns. Profound.
It's like the integral yoga. Everything has to be synchronized, harmonized under one truth.
Yeah, absolutely. So you see here the will,
Yeah.
the heart, and the mind. These are three: karma yoga, bhakti yoga, and jnana yoga. In the later parlance, in the later language of the yoga. There are many interesting things which Aurobindo says on the Vedas and Vedic rishis and their symbolism. You know that Sri Aurobindo was very fond of the Veda, more than anything else. And all the symbolism he used in his Savitri. And because of this discovery, actually he could make his Savitri, because he started to use this Vedic symbolism of day and night and dawn and a symbol dawn, and we spoke already night, and all those other fire, flame, word. All these words are taken from the Veda, the imagery. So here he writes about Vedic symbolism in The Secret of the Veda, which is very inspiring. That ascension has already been effected by the ancients, the human forefathers, and the spirits of these great ancestors still assist their offspring. So it is still there. They are all there still to assist us in our ascension. For the new dawns repeat the old and lean forward in light to join the dawns of the future. Look at this, these ideas. Each sentence, each phrase is a profound idea. Kanva, Kutsa, Atri, Kakshivan, Gotama, Shunakshepa have become types of certain spiritual victories, which tend to be constantly repeated in the experience of humanity. We are constantly going through those battles and gain those victories with their help. So the seven sages, the Angirasas, are waiting still and always, ready to chant the word, to rend the cavern, to find the lost herds, to recover the hidden sun. Thus the soul is a battlefield, full of helpers and hunters and hurters, friends and enemies. All this lives, teems, is personal, is conscious, is active. We create for ourselves by the sacrifice and by the word shining seers, heroes to fight for us, children of our works. Look at this symbolism. Only Sri Aurobindo could do it. I don't think anybody could dare to go into that extent, you know. We create for ourselves by the sacrifice, by the word, shining seers. They are there, but we have to create them within ourselves. Heroes to fight for us, they are there, but we have to let them do that. Children of our works, these are the offsprings. The rishis and the gods find for us our luminous herds, the ribhus fashioned by the mind, the chariots of the gods and their horses and their shining weapons. Our life is a horse that neighing and galloping bears us onwards and upwards. Its forces are swift hooved steeds. The liberated powers of the mind are wide winging birds. The mental being, or this soul, is the upsoaring swan, or the falcon that breaks out from the 100 iron walls and rests from the jealous guardians of felicity, the wine of the Soma. Every shining Godward thought that arises from the secret abysses of the heart is a priest and a creator, and chants a divine hymn of luminous realization and puissant fulfillment. We seek for the shining gold of the truth. We lust after a heavenly treasure. Sri Aurobindo is not afraid to use these lower words for the highest purpose. Did you notice this? Yeah? The divine desire, or we lust our heavenly treasures. It actually intensifies the feeling. It brings it. We join, our all being joins in this, aspiration. It's amazing. The soul of man is the world full of beings, a kingdom in which armies clash to help or hinder a supreme conquest, a house where the gods are our guests, and which the demons strive to possess. The fullness of its energies and wideness of its being make a seat of sacrifice spread, arranged and purified for a celestial session. Such are some of the principal images of the Veda, and a very brief and insufficient outline of the teaching of the forefathers. So understood, the Rig Veda ceases to be an obscure, confused, and barbarous hymnal. It becomes the high, aspiring song of humanity. It chants are episodes of the lyrical epic of the soul in its immortal ascension. This is at least what more there may be in the Veda of ancient science, lost knowledge. Old psychophysical tradition remains yet to be discovered. Yeah. This is Sri Aurobindo in his prose. Yeah, and he speaks in the letters on the Vedic rishis. I wanted today to touch upon these families of Vedic rishis because there are 10 mandalas, as you know, and each mandala is mainly dedicated to one family of rishis, except the first, the ninth, and the 10th mandala. Mandalas are books. The first mandala has many rishis also, very ancient rishis there. Some of them are very famous, like Agastya Rishi or Kutsangirasa or Dirghatama Uchatya or Gotama Rahuganaha. These are very ancient rishis, the original ones. And they are all in the first mandala. And then second mandala is Gritsamada, third is Vishwamitra, and so on. Fourth is Vamadeva, fifth is Atris and Angirasa rishis, sixth is Bharadvaja, seventh is Vasishtha. And so each one is dedicated to one particular family. One thing I wanted to say, that there was a question about the Vedic rishis. Who are they? And here, this slide I will show you. The question to the mother, were the Vedic rishis men who had evolved to that state, or were they special manifestations? What do you mean, says the mother? Whether they were evolutionary beings or involutionary beings? They were probably, no, they were surely involutionary beings. But the body was the result of evolution. But it is absolutely certain that they were involutionary beings, that is, beings who had come down from higher regions and used these bodies, who had identified themselves with these bodies. So the bodies were the process of evolution, but they took charge of those bodies, embodied themselves, as it were, but themselves are nothing to achieve here in this evolution. They already have the knowledge. It's like avatars. Yeah? She speaks that, for example, she says in the same passage in Agenda, that Vivekananda was involutionary being. Yeah? He had nothing to evolve to achieve. And that's what Ramakrishna was telling him. Yeah? He told him, once you know who you are, you would lose all interest in this, what you're doing now. because he is involutionary being. There's nothing for him to achieve, to evolve to. He brought some knowledge, some impact. And Ramakrishna was telling him all the time that actually you are my guru and not I am yours. And he couldn't believe in that. Some amazing things about involutionary beings.
In fact, Thakur Ramakrishna says that he went and actually prayed to Vivekananda to manifest in this world. He actually requested him to be born.
Yeah, you remember how they met first time?
Yes, yes.
He was in one party somewhere and somebody was singing in another room and he heard his voice. He rushed there because he recognized him by the voice. Vivekananda's voice. He said, how long you have been, I was waiting for you for so long. Amazing. Vivekananda was surprised, never saw the guy. And suddenly somebody comes to you, was waiting for you for so long. Yeah, these are the marvels of this. So if they are involutionary beings and take the body of the evolved souls, so that means they are kind of supporting the evolution of those souls for a while until the body is ready, and then they take embodiment. This is what how Kiri Joshi once explained to me how Sri Aurobindo became the avatar. Because I was asking him how could be the supramental avatar in this form, and Mother says he became the avatar. He was not born the avatar. This is also an interesting thing, because before he was in French Revolution, he was someone. Then he was Leonardo before, as Mother says. Yes, Leonardo da Vinci is Sri Aurobindo from before. So how could he become the avatar? And he says that these vibhutis, which are taking place over time, this is the evolving instrument of the soul at the same time evolving with the instrument which is prepared for the embodiment of the avatar. Avatar is preparing for himself the reincarnation from birth to birth to birth until the instrument is ready, and then it takes charge of it. It's quite an interesting answer.
Vladimir.
Yeah.
Where do the Saptarishis fit in this overall scheme?
Well, Purva Rishaya or Sapta Rishaya is the constant vision of the group soul bringing the higher knowledge into each Manvantara. We mentioned this before. Yes, we have 14 Manvantaras in one Kalpa. Within Manvantara, we have these Mahayugas, and within Yugas, we have smaller Yugas. So it's like, but when the group soul is engaged, when we come as a humanity, we created a plan, a vision. And these involutionary beings, they bring that vision intact, and that is the Veda. Then it is changing. There are many modifications taking place. The recomposition of the same material is taking place. In the Rig Veda, for example, these rishis are mentioned as Purva Rishayaha and Nutana, as earlier rishis and modern ones. Yes. And even it is mentioned that there was a shift, in the tradition, where the modern rishis hid the beginning of the first rishis. So the whole tradition was kind of removed. In the Vedas, it is mentioned that there are ancient statements like Nivids in the Veda, those in a very archaic language, which come from the older tradition, yes, inherited. So there was a development, but still this kind of involutionary consciousness keeps up with the intention of humanity, of the group soul to develop within this particular period of time. Yeah? Reminds us all the time what is the purpose. The purpose is the sacrifice. The purpose is the transformation of nature by the spirit. This is the major purpose why we are here. It has to be given to humanity. Humanity should not forget about this. And that's why Rig Veda was so important. Why do you think the thousands of generations of Brahmins, millions of Brahmins, studied it by heart and passed it by heart to next Brahmins, even without understanding what it is about? Because of that your message, that involutionary message, that pure intention of the group soul has to be kept intact somewhere in the memory of humanity. Yeah? It's like a heart of all that what we are here for. And then you look on this ground how many different philosophies developed: Buddhism, Jainism. They are all sprouting from these ideas, yes? Though they are denying them some part of it, some corrupted part, but they take something essential, some essential element from the Vedas and develop it in their own way. Hinduism, Shaivism, Vishnuism, Krishnaism, Ramaism, you name it, Ganesha worshippers, Shaiva tradition, Shakta tradition, and so on and so forth. Many tantras, Advaita, Vishishta Advaita. Just look how rich is tradition, all the Upanishads. And even Christianity, I think. Christianity also sprouted from this. It's not of the Semitic origin. Even Semitic origin was together with Vedic ones long ago. But that's why Jews actually crucified Jesus, because of his specific connection to the Father, which was a blasphemy. So all these things are somehow a reminder of what we are here for. Our central purpose, meaning of our life is in the Veda.
Very good.
So Purva Rishayaha is a more like a symbolic image of 7 stars. They are connected or compared with 7 stars of the big Bear constellation. Yeah, this Big Dipper or something. So because these 7 stars are pointing to the Dhruvam, to the polar star, they are constantly there. 7 rishis are 7 stars in heaven, pointing towards the central point of our galaxy, around which the whole galaxy moves. Yeah? So astrologically, it's quite interesting, these stars. Yeah? And it is called riksha. Riksha is the bear. And from here, Arctica, Arctus, yeah, Greek word for bear. And Arctica because of bear, because of riksha. And riksha is riksa, is Rig Veda. Actually, just we don't know about this. From here, Rig Veda is the word, yeah, that inspired word, that message, that intention expressed in the vision of consciousness or in the power of the word, which humanity is to follow. See, everything is kind of connected.
Beautiful.
Yeah. We are living in such a beautiful world without knowing it, yes. And yes, Sri Aurobindo says more things. Yes, I wanted to come back to this. Purva and Sapta Rishaya we touched. There are also many stories between these different rishis, their relations, their work, every one of them has a particular, Sri Aurobindo says, particular victory, particular format, particular devata with whom they have relations. Yeah, for example, Vasishtha is all connected to Varuna. Yeah, he is Maitra Varuni. He is of that Gotra. He comes from Mitra and Varuna lineage. And Vasishtha means the most luminous, the richest one, if, you know. And nobody dares to come to Varuna. Everybody is afraid of Varuna because he's it's a divine purity of the divine existence. Who can claim that? Yeah? Nobody is here purely existing. So in the divine sense, it's pure immortality. Vishwamitra was a great king and became a rishi because of Vasishtha. Vasishtha made him a rishi, as you know. He was fighting with Vasishtha. You know the story, how they were fighting. Yeah? He was fighting with him because he wanted to have a cow of desires, Kamadhenu. So he took Kamadhenu by force from him. And then Kamadhenu destroyed his army. And then he understood that Rishi is very powerful. And he wanted to become Brahmin. He was Kshatriya, the king. So he was... for years, for thousands of years, he was in Himalayas doing his tapasya to receive the boon to shift from Kshatriya to Brahman. Yeah? He wanted to become Brahma Rishi as Vasishtha was because he couldn't destroy him. Whatever he gained so many powers, missiles. He came and he threw all the missiles into Vasishtha, but Vasishtha could neutralize them with his stick. He just put them, all the forces, into earth. Even Brahmastra, which can destroy the world, was neutralized by him. And then he understood there is no chance for him because he was not given Brahma Rishi. He was given Raja Rishi title by the gods. For his tapasya, he was granted Raja Rishi. So he was the kingly Rishi, yes, or how to put it, royal Rishi, but not Brahma Rishi. So he decided at the end in Puranas, it is written this story that he decided to kill Vasishtha with his own bare hands. So when he went to his heart and we spoke about this story, yeah, before, most probably, no? Okay, yeah, nobody says anything, so I finished the story. He went to his heart in the ashram where Vasishtha lived, and he stood behind the door with the knife. He wanted to, to kill him with the knife. And he hears Vasishtha speaks to his wife. His wife complains, you made our life miserable because of this Vishwamitra. He destroyed he killed all our sons. He had 100 sons which were killed by Vishwamitra. He destroyed all our properties, burned our forests. We have nothing. We live in poverty in this heart. Why can't you kill him, for God's sake? And Vasishtha says, I love him, he says. He is a very great being, but he has one weakness. Anger is his weakness. He gets angry very easily. And when Vasishtha heard this, Vishwamitra heard this behind the door, he entered the door, threw the knife away and fell at his feet. And then he hears the voice, rise, O Brahma Rishi. This is how he became Brahma Rishi. It was granted by Vasishtha. And from that time on, he became a great Rishi. The whole third mandala is composed by him. Gayatri mantra is composed by him. That very Gayatri mantra, which we all which is the composition initiating Brahmins into Brahmacharya. This is the sacrifice Vasishtha did for Vishwamitra. All his family was destroyed, everything. He was waiting for his time. Amazing. And there are many, many stories. It's only one. Agastya and Lopamudra is another. Agastya, Indra, and Maruts is a beautiful story. Maybe we will touch them when we will do the second round. Kutsa, Girasa, and Indra, how Indra shows him his heavens, and Dirghatama, Uchatha, and Brihaspati, how Brihaspati tried to to vacate Dirghatama Uchatha from his womb and occupy the space, and so on. Okay, and I was telling that we will compare these two Gayatris in some way, of course, and this is the how Sri Aurobindo speaks about Vedic rishis. The Vedic rishis were mystics of the ancient type, who everywhere, in India, Greece, Egypt, and elsewhere, held the secret truths and methods of which they were in possession as very sacred and secret things, not to be disclosed to the unfit, who would misunderstand, misapply, misuse, and degrade the knowledge. This degradation of knowledge took place anyhow. Their writings were, therefore, so couched as only to be intelligible in their secret meaning to the initiated. This is from Letters of Yoga 103 page. These are pages and Letters of Yoga. In the Veda, there is no idea or experience of a personal emanation or incarnation of any of the Vedic gods. There is no personal relation. Everything is impersonal. When the Rishi speaks of Indra or Agni or Soma in man, they are speaking of the God in this cosmic presence, in his cosmic presence, power and function. This is evident from the very language when they speak of Agni as the immortal immortals, the immortal light in man, the inner warrior, the guest in human beings. It is the same with Indra and Soma. The building of the gods in man means a creation of the divine powers. Indra, the power of the light, Soma, the power of the Ananda in the human nature. They are always speaking, bring to us, make us, let us. Yeah, always we, us, never I. This I comes much later. In Upanishads is still we, but we in terms of faculties of consciousness. But then it becomes more and more I. The fundamental difference is in the teaching that there is a dynamic divine truth, the supermind, and that into the present, and that into the present world of ignorance, that truth can descend, create a new truth consciousness, and divinize life. The old yogas go straight from mind to the absolute divine, regard all dynamic existence as ignorance, illusion, or lila. When you enter the static and immutable divine truth, they say, you pass out of cosmic existence. So what is interesting that between these two Gayatri mantras, the old Gayatri mantra does not speak about the transformation yet. Whereas Vishwamitra's, it mentions only our evolution and growth. Whereas Sri Aurobindo's speaks about enlightening us with the truth of yours. We receive here. We are receptacles of that higher truth. This is what he says, fundamental difference in the teaching. is the dynamic truth, the supermind, which can descend. The Vedic rishis tried to rise individually to supramental plane, but they did not bring it down and make it permanent part of the earth consciousness. Even there are verses of the Upanishad in which it is hinted that it is impossible to pass through the gates of the sun. The sun is the symbol of supermind, and yet retain an earthly body. It was because of this failure that the spiritual effort of India culminated in Mayavada. Because of the failure of the Vedic rishis to transform a human physical life, the Mayavada started to rise. Because you have to reach there anyhow, so you have to leave this. You cannot transform it. Our yoga is a double movement of ascent and descent. One rises to higher and higher levels of consciousness, but at the same time, one brings down their power, not only into mind and life, but in the end, even into the body. And the highest of these levels, the one at which it aims, is the supermind. Only when that can be brought down is a divine transformation possible in the earth consciousness. I can't say whether any of them, the Vedic rishis, attained the supermind, supramental plane, but the ascent to it was their object. Svar is evidently the illumined regions of mind between the supramental and human intelligence, formed by the rays of the sun. That's what he calls later overmind. Yes? According to the Upanishads, those who ascend to the rays of the sun return, but those who ascend into the sun itself do not come back. That is because the ascent to supermind was envisaged, but the descent and organization of the supermental force, supermind here, as apart from the descent of the rays, was not. Now this addition as apart from the descent of the rays looks like nothing's important, but it is very important. The descent from the overmind was there constantly envisioned and realized. Yeah? And these are the great gods of the Veda. They are all born on their mental plane, and they are actively participating in our evolution and change of consciousness. Yeah? This was done, but the descent from the supramental plane and organizing this plane here in earthly atmosphere was never, ever done. And for the first time in the history of humankind, the mother brought down the first influence in 1956. The supramental force directly touched the earthly atmosphere. Yeah? Before it was always through intermediaries. Yeah? So now we have a kind of an idea of what it is all about. All right. If you have something to share, some thoughts or something, please go ahead.
So, Ladimer, these rishis are actually our forefathers, our pitris,
Yes, also, yes.
and we have descended from them.
Oh yes, I didn't cover this Pitris, Devayana and Pitriyana. Now you reminded me of, maybe next time we will start with Devayana and Pitriyana.
There is a constant reminder to you.
Pitris, it is one part of our constant change of our instruments. Yes, we take onto ourselves all the instruments of our mind, vital and physical, and constantly working with them. It's our field of work. My body is my field of work. Yeah? So I involve the right forces to constantly change this mind, vital and physical, to pass the changes forward to the future. Because in the future I will come into the better instrument and will continue working on it. This is our environment. So P3s are this environment. They're working with this change. The gods are the powers which help the soul to acquire all necessary force to make those changes. Yeah. The gods are the powers of the soul, if you will.
And if we remember just this, it helps a lot in our consciousness. Just to remember this from where we
Well,
have
definitely. Or you wanted to say what? Or definitely said and cut you in the middle. So what helps us to remember? We wanted to continue. I said, yes, of course. For me, this is the knowledge. Yeah? If I really understand this, and every time I come to it, I think, my God, it is so clear everything, what is happening and how it is happening and what are the forces and what we are here to do. Why don't we do it really? Only this, nothing else. But it seems that we are doing it anyhow, consciously or unconsciously. The whole nature is doing it for us. If we will not be doing, nature will do its work. Yeah.
I had a quick question, Vladimir. I was making a note. The old Gayatri, how is it different from the new? The new Gayatri is the one on transformation, it transforms.
Okay, I will open the Gayatri. I have it somewhere not far. Because of mantras. Okay, let me project it and we will look into it and see it. Here, this is the old Gayatri. Tatsavitur varenyam bhargo devasya dhimahi dhiyo yonav prachodayat. Yes? We fix our consciousness upon the dazzling light of that light, of the God Savitar. God Savitar and his light is supramental light. Yeah? We want it. Who the Savitar, the supermind, Dhiyo Yonav Prachodayat, who will move our thoughts, our fixations forward. Huh? He will move our thoughts. We fix our thoughts, we fix our consciousness upon him, and he will move it forward in our evolution. Now, Sri Aurobindo, Tatsavitur Varam Rupam, Jyotif Parasya Dhimahi, we fix our consciousness on the highest supreme light of the God Savitar, on the most desired, on the most perfect form of the God Savitar, already form, let us say, some additional thing, which, not God Savitar, but which, the very substance of God, Satyena with the truth, should illumine us. So the very substance of that thing, because yat is rupam, varam, not savitar, not yonach, not yach, not he, but what, yeah? What should illumine us with the truth. So, and us, and form, us illumine is not who will move our fixations of consciousness forward, but we are being illumined. We become the Adhar for illumination, for receiving the light of the Supreme. So it all comes down to us, boils down. We are not moved forward in our meditations. We are receptacle of the highest light here. This is the difference which he defined between Vedic rishis and his yoga, that they were attending to the supermind. That was their goal, but they never could succeed to fix it in the earthly atmosphere, which he wants to fix. And that's why his Gayatri mantra is reflecting it. Bring that light into us here. Fix it here.
Thank you. Thank you. That really makes it clear.
Great. Okay, so Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Do you have anything else? I'm sorry, I just did mantra because I see that the time is running out. I mean,
for next time.
For the next time, all right. But there is also Jan and Robin. I was thinking maybe Robin has to say something or something. No.
No, I don't have anything to say right now.
All
It's
right.
what I thought was so beautiful was something you read, that big paragraph that you read that Sri Aurobindo wrote, where you commented about his use of words. Nobody would dare to write words like this. That page was so fantastic.
Yeah.
I would love to have a copy of that.
Yeah, definitely. All the copies of these presentations are there, so you can have them, yes, in your folder. So
Yeah, I have a binder that I'm putting these in.
yeah, this is amazing. Every time I read this, I can't believe my eyes. I can't believe that this is even possible to approach our life in that symbolic, vaster sense. Everything falls in the right place. The whole nature, all symbols of nature are actually real symbols, psychological powers of the spirit. Amazing.
I was reading in The Ideal of Human Unity about how Sri Aurobindo was talking about the problems with governments, the problems of, when governments form and the power they exert over the individual versus the ability of the individual to become free, to become illumined. And he comes up with the final culmination of what he discusses is this divine anarchy. And the basis for this is that if in each individual the divine rules, if the subtle plane is active rather than the material, the mortal world, then it's possible to have a world and a nation where everybody functions in harmony, because just like in nature, everything functions so beautifully together. We would do the same thing, and there wouldn't be a need for a centralized government. You can have an anarchy system, and yet everybody behaves correctly. So what's the need for any kind of,
Right.
supreme authority that forces everybody to do something? And that's really the solution to our problem in the world, and there's huge evidence of it right now going on. Absolutely. With, like, I can take one example, I don't want to get into it too deeply, but vaccine mandates, where you have to have a vaccine, an untested, unproven vaccine, if you want to work, if you want to go anywhere, if you want to do anything. I mean, this is insane. Yeah. And so this is the solution, is for all of us to achieve this state. And once we achieve this state, then there's no need for these crazy centralized authorities. Excuse me.
Yeah, all voting idea, voting, I will give my voice to someone. How can I give my voice to someone? He may change his view. I don't know him well. Do I know him as I know myself? I don't know even myself. How can I give my voice to somebody whom I even know less than myself? It's incredibly approximate, the whole thing. By the way, Mother wanted in Auroville to have this system of divine anarchy, And she
Yeah.
spoke about this when they came to her and said, we need these mental rules and regulation. We have to know who is coming and how to choose people, who is right for Oroville and who is not. And she, what she answered? She said, as long as there are no rules and regulations, there is still a hope. Because everybody has to find the truth in himself. It's not enough. Rules and regulations will not help, even if they are golden rules and regulations. They don't help. It's amazing. Yeah, we need to discover the truth, and that is the beginning of the subjective age, and what we are kind of doing now. Why it is so important to look into it, what it really means, how it changes our lives, and also the dangers of subjective age. Yes, which are coming because the ego is jumping in and with all the desires and demands and preferences. Yeah, it's my subjective age, I'm subjectively right. I think like this. I feel it. What you feel, God knows where it is coming from. You don't know yourself. You feel some force from outside or some imprint from other people, dogmas, and then you believe that it is you. You don't know what it is. So we have to discover ourselves and to find yes, which will lead us to this divine anarchy. I'm very glad that you're studying the ideal of human unity. This is a profound book. We created the audio book out of it. We work on it.
The whole book?
Yeah.
Wow.
The human cycle, and now we're working. It's half of it is done. It is there. I can send you the link. You can enjoy it while reading, also listening to it. You can also,
Great.
which is helpful because both do the trick.
Yes.
Yeah. There's if we have a minute here, there's a story, an account of I believe he was an admiral, and this was he flew. Anyhow, there were airplanes at the time. They flew over Antarctica. Have you ever heard of this story? Admiral Byrd.
Something I heard, yes.
Yeah, he flew over Antarctica. I think it was the first flight over Antarctica. And in the middle of the continent, what happened is they landed. And there was a civilization there. And he was taken down into where this civilization was centered. And he was very curious about how they ruled this place. And he eventually met the person who was he was a master, and they had a completely different way of organizing the civilization there. And it was run by this illumined individual. And it wasn't actually run by him, but he was the lead individual. And Admiral Byrd got to meet this individual. And he was one of these illumined beings. And that's, I'm thinking, how incredible to be able to have an illumined being the individual who is responsible for the organizing of the society. And I find it amazing that possibly right here, not just on our Earth, but in our Earth, and who knows where else, things like this can exist simultaneously with what we see, in the physical world.
Yeah, what mother, when they asked her what she was suggesting for Oroville, she said a group of individuals, enlightened individuals, with intuitive consciousness could take the position of suggesting how to develop the whole, city, because otherwise no voting system, no majorities. These ideas of majority are constantly manipulated. Nobody knows what he's choosing, what that is there. And now in Oroville, the majority rules, and that majority is not of very high kind, so to say, very ordinary people. Some Aurovillians are even the oldest Aurovillians are joking in such a way that Auroville helps humanity to grow in consciousness because they took on themselves the most tough cases, to Auroville. So the worst cases of humanity are brought to Auroville to help the world evolve. This is a funny joke, but there is some grain of truth in it. The toughest
The worst cases seem to aggregate around the capitals and banks of all countries.
Also, yes, they are there, closer to the source of power.
Power and money.
Money, yeah. Money and power go together. As Mother says, three-headed dragon, yes? Money, power, and sex. These are the most attractive proposition for the Asuric forces. They are possessing, they are manipulating by these powers. Great. Okay, so we stop here. And Jan, the last word from you. You're silent always, so sweetly silent.
No, I'm just appreciating it. I'm so unfamiliar with all of this, so it's all new to me, except for yoga, but the symbolism of the
Vedas.
Yeah, but I'm loving it. Thank you so much.
Yes, and we find the symbolism in Savitri. Now it will be much easier to understand how Sri Aurobindo is using that in Savitri. He builds up the whole consciousness movement through these symbols. Yeah? Great. Okay, so all the best and see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.